This is A.R. Farina, writer of the Austin Chronicles, and you're listening to Genuine Chit-Chat.
Hello my friends and welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This is going to be a little intro thing and talk about other stuff that I'm up to, and if you want to skip ahead, I start the conversation with Megan at around the 4.5 minute mark, so skip ahead if desired. This week is another continuation episode of mine and Megan's month-long trip in America. Last week you got a little break, you got Clone Wars conversations, and we've got another 3 of those in the bank as well. But this week we are back to it, we're back to the America trip. So this one was all about sort of the in-between time, so the time between Yosemite and going to Disney World. So there's some friends that we met who I haven't met in person before. There were some fun little tidbits. I'm not going to tell you what happens in the episode, you can just go ahead and listen. But I did want to give you a little bit more information on some other stuff. Again, I'm not going to record an outro on this one, so it's all going to be here, and then you'll get to just enjoy the episode until the end. The main thing I want to say is Banned Books Week. So when this releases, Banned Books Week will have just ended, and I was fortunate enough to be on Tonya Todd's Banned Books Conversation podcast. So she's done it for 3 years now. She does 7 episodes a year, and they're released within Banned Books Week, and each episode is with a different collection of guests, and it speaks about a different banned book. Now, I went on there and spoke about Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, and it was a really, really great episode, and I got to meet Vogue and Amanda, who are also guests on the show, and it's just a really great conversation. It's on the Femon Collective and the Comics in Motion podcast feeds, or you can watch the video version on Tonya Todd's YouTube channel. The video version is what link is in the description, but if you go on Comics in Motion or the Femon Collective, you'll be able to find it very easily. So shout out about that. I've also recently recorded an episode of Disney Discussions with Rhea, Dan, and Megan. That's about Tron, so that will be out, I believe, in sort of mid-October, I think. And then there's also going to be a few other pods that I'm going to be recording, I think, later this year. And there's a few other bits and pieces as well. I've got some other recordings, some that I recorded before I went away to release as well. So that's good fun there. But yeah, just check out the details in the description. It's got all the stuff I've been up to recently. Next week is going to be another America trip podcast. And then after that, we'll kind of see what I've got. And then we'll kind of get back into the normal swing of things, I think. But friends, just thank you so much for tuning in. As always, obviously, you can find me at Genuine Chit-Chat on all the social media places. And also, because this has been like all Patreon-esque stuff, you know, with Megan being involved, because if you've enjoyed this conversation with Megan, make sure you become a Patreon supporter. It's only £1 a month, and you get immediate access to all of the podcasts that are exclusive Patreon podcasts. There's over 200 of them. You get also early access to monthly M&M podcasts, which Megan and I will probably continue. I think we'll do 1 more or maybe 2 more this year, and then we'll continue doing it monthly next year. It's just obviously with you guys getting 4 or 5 episodes of me and Megan just talking about Vegas. I didn't want to just overload it with more monthly M&Ms, but we will be getting back to that. But yeah, if you want to hear afterthoughts, Megan and I recording stuff. We've done the Star Wars Lego Rebuild the Galaxy. We did a review on that. We've got a review recorded for Inside Out 2. We're getting into spooky season, and every spooky season we do loads of horror podcasts. Usually I release like 2 or 3 a week, just absolutely loads of them because we do big franchises and things like that. I think we're planning on doing Alien this year, so that's going to be good fun. We've already watched Alien, and we've already watched what was it? Friday the 13th. So we've got lots of other cool things to watch. But just before the conversation does get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and that is Rhea, Math, Brett, Dan, Scott, Dave, Brian, Tonya, James, Margaret, Frank, and Tony. So thank you so much, all of you, for being supporters. I hugely appreciate it. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to afford the equipment that I took with me to Vegas, to America, that Megan and I used to record, as well as my camera that obviously for all YouTube stuff looks a lot better now. So thank you as always. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you want to watch the YouTube version of this, there's going to be lots of slideshow pictures from the trip itself, and I try and very loosely make them connect to what we're speaking about. So if you want to have a visual element to this conversation, please go to youtube.com/genuine chit-chat and make sure you subscribe, because there's loads of cool stuff over there. Every Genuine Chit-Chat episode ever, every episode of Star Wars Comics in Canon ever, and a few other bonus things as well. But that's enough awful for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, my friends, I will speak to you very soon, and here is part 3 of mine and Megan's conversation about America. Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people, and I'm your host, Mike Burton.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, that probably would have been more apt. Oh no, actually that one does work for this time, because we haven't even spoken about it, have we? Because we've done Vegas and we've done Yosemite. Yes, so now we are in the in-between. The in-between. So we had Vegas, we had Yosemite, and then we had a few days in between, and then we have Disney. And so we're off to Disney tomorrow. So I imagine we'll do the podcast, the afterthoughts for Disney, when we return to the UK. Because we only have like a day or so after Disney. But yeah, so this is the in-between of afterthoughts. This is part 3 of 4 of our month-long America trip. And we have been to, so we finished Yosemite, and then we went to Bakersfield in California.
The field of the bakers.
Which is where we spent 3 nights with Chris Alyse, who people may know Chris because he was on Genuine Chit-Chat. He's been on there twice. He lost a lot of weight. That was one of the things we spoke about. And he also had the podcast Like to Like Things During COVID with his wife, Alyse. So more podcast friends that we got to meet, which is amazing. With them for a few days. We then also went to Universal, had dinner with Melissa, and then we've spent the last few days in Florida, where one of the days we saw Tony, and then we're off to Disney World tomorrow.
And Alison. We already mentioned Alison?
We mentioned Alison because she was
when we went to the Yosemite.
Yeah, that was before we went to Yosemite.
Gotcha.
So, we spent time with Chris and Alyse. So, we went to California, Bakersfield, after peaceful times in Yosemite, and we spent time with Chris and Alyse, which was absolutely delightful.
It was great.
We met their 2 daughters, Penny and Story, who are absolutely lovely, and yeah, we just basically spent time. So obviously Vegas was ridiculously intense. Yosemite was lovely but completely isolated. And with Chris and Alyse, it was quite a
perfect
nice
family time.
Warmth into the world. We got to meet some of their friends. We got to meet Alyse's parents. We had some amazing home cooking. And we did a couple of things out in the day. Went to some comic book stores. We did some mini golf. We
went on those bumper
boat, battle boats, I think they're called, which are great fun.
I got pushed into the fountain.
You did. And the girls were trying to get me into the fountain.
Well, we were all trying to get you, but you wouldn't bloody stay there. I said
when we were in the swimming pool, we were hanging out, I was like, when everyone was ganging up on me, in jest to clarify, I said, everyone always gangs up on me, I'm used to it, but I'm slippery, I'm like a snake, I'm used to it.
I got given a fancy chair in the pool.
You did.
Elise's mum gave me this like really fancy, like...
It was like a Lilo-y thing.
Lilo-y, floaty lounge thing. It was really cool.
Yeah, so we did a bit of swing. It was mainly just chilling, really.
It was just chilling. It was lovely.
We played a game called Dice Throne, which is really fun. We spoke about Disney quite a lot because Chris and Alyse have been to Disney and Universal quite a few times. We got to know their daughters, who are both awesome human beings. Found some new music they recommended. So one of the things that in Bakersfield, we had which is in obviously California, is we had quite a lot of Mexican food, which is really, really cool.
Well, on the first night we had barbecue.
Oh, we had barbecue.
Chris did a barbecue for us and invited like Elise's parents around. Yes.
Oh crap! No.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm confusing it with their neighbours. Sorry,
fuck off.
I'm really sorry. No. I was thinking about. It's because we saw. We met their neighbours that night, and then the following day, the neighbours came around for lunch.
Which I was about to say.
I'm sorry. I hold my hands up.
Rude boy.
I apologise.
Yeah. So Elise's parents were around.
Who we met, who were lovely.
Chris's parents weren't because they were away.
Yep.
And then one of their sets of neighbours came over as well.
Yeah, with their kids.
It was really, really nice.
And we got to watch a SpaceX launch as well. Because I don't know how many, it was like 100 miles away. No. How many miles away?
I don't know how many miles away.
It was a certain amount of miles away, and we got to see...
it was a couple of hours of a drive away.
Yeah, and we got to see like a SpaceX launch, because one of the neighbours that we met, he mentioned that there's SpaceX launch, so we got to see that in the distance, which is cool. But we had some American barbecue.
So there was awesome. Barbecue, so there was slow-cooked pulled pork.
Yep.
There were beef ribs, pork ribs. There were spicy, like, sausage links.
Yeah, and then...
tri-tip.
And we've never had tri-tip before, because you only get it in the UK.
No, there was corn.
Yep.
There was homemade salsa. There were homemade yeast rolls.
Yep. Baked beans as well.
And barbecue beans. It was really good.
It was
so much
incredible.
Food. It was delicious.
And then the next day...
whipped honey butter, which I'd never had before, and that was sick. It was so good.
And the next day, then, using some of the leftover meat and tri-tip, Chris made us omelettes using some of that, which was awesome as well.
And we had homemade, apple muffins for breakfast as well that had this really cool crumb.
Yeah, like a
crumble on top.
It was like apple crumble muffins.
Yeah, they were yummy.
So that was all absolutely fantastic. Chris and Alyse were just excellent hosts, and we got to stay in the guest room, which is where Chris has got loads of his Lego. Which is awesome. They're just lovely, lovely human beings. And we
we felt part of the family, and we genuinely felt really sad when we had to leave.
Yeah, it was like, because, we spent time in Yosemite as a reset, and then, the last few days we obviously got to see Tony, which we'll get into in a minute, and Universal and stuff, and Melissa, but it was just so nice and homely. It was just like, it wasn't like being at home because the heat was horrendous, but it was quite close to being home in a sense.
It was homely vibes.
Yeah, which was just really nice, and it was just lovely where in Yosemite it was all everything ourselves, and they really took care of us.
Yeah.
Which was really, really nice. But yeah, just ate lots of food, had a great time, went to some nerdy shops, some local areas, which was really, really good. And we went to this place called, I think it's NQ2 or something. And that's
NB2 and...
I think it was NQ2, or I might be confusing it with where I went with my stag. But basically, we went to this place which had an arcade, which was really fun. Did some arcade games, did mini golf, where Megan beat me and Chris by 1 point.
NB2.
And an NB2, nice.
MB2.
So, Mike Burton too.
Yeah, Megan Burton too.
Oh, yes, of course. So, that was really fun. Megan and I love an arcade. We love playing mini golf.
I won mini golf by 1.
Oh, we went to Rosemary's as well.
The way that you do this is
because I can't remember. It's just one big lump.
No. So we left the Yosemite on the Sunday. We arrived on the Sunday. That's the day that we had the barbecue.
Yeah.
On the Monday, we just chilled in the day. We did. We just chilled in the day.
I'm not looking at you like you're wrong. I don't remember. It's all an amalgamation blur to me.
We chilled in the day.
This is why I'm jumping around, because I was like, I didn't want to just have dead air. I was just kind of highlighting things. I mean, for the listeners, it's not...
on the Monday in the evening, we went to... we went to Elise's parents' house.
Yeah, and they cooked us Mexican food because Elise's dad is Mexican, I believe.
Yeah, Elise's dad is Mexican. So we had homemade Mexican food. We had homemade enchiladas, guacamole.
Oh, the guacamole was incredible.
These really yummy jalapeno pepper things. There was also, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a slow cooked pork dish. That was really good. And
all of it
rice.
was.
It was
and we got
so
swim in
yummy.
that swimming pool as well.
Yeah, and we swam in the pool, which was really lovely, and we just chilled. And in the day, that day, we just chilled out. We just hung out with Chris and watched we had lunch. And then the neighbours came over and we just chilled a bit more.
Yeah, we
watched Disney videos and we played that game.
Yeah, the dice throwing game. We watched the Disney videos, which is behind the attraction. I think it's called. It's on Disney Plus, and a lot of them are videos that start from the 60s. We saw the opening parade ceremony of Disney World. We got to see stuff about It's a Small World and some of the other rides like Jungle Cruise that Alyse really liked.
Yeah, that day we just hung out. We just played games because...
That's mainly what we wanted to do.
Yeah, because Story was getting back to school stuff.
Yeah, because when we were there, so the day we left Chris and Elise's was the day the girls were back to school.
And Elise's 40th birthday.
Oh yeah, so it was all amalgamated.
This is where it kind of blends into one, and there's not really that much to talk about per se because we didn't do that much, but that's exactly what we wanted and what we needed.
Yeah, it was just incredible.
That was on the Monday, and then... Yeah, as we've already said, we went over to Elise's parents in the evening and we had Mexican food and hung out in their pool and had this pineapple pie that was really yummy.
Yeah, that was really good. And some pistachio ice cream. And then you and Elise, because you're both such avid cooks and bakers and things, you were talking
Me,
about
Elise, and her mum were all talking about baking for quite a while.
Which is really interesting hearing about American style cooking and some of the Latin American influences compared to your cooking, which obviously is UK with some degree of Latin American influence, but obviously England is more influenced by Europe than it is by the Americas.
Yeah. And then on the Tuesday, we woke up slightly later.
Yeah.
Chris and one of the kids had gone to a school-related thing.
Yeah.
And then Elise went to the Mexican supermarket and had bought us Mexican pastries.
What are they called again?
Well, conchas was one of them, and then there were sweet empanadas.
Which I'd never have empanadas
they
before.
were so good.
They were amazing. Yeah, they really took care of us.
Yeah, and then that day we went to MB2, and that's when we did the mini golf.
And then we went to Rosemary's.
Oh, so we went there first, and we did mini golf, and it was fucking sweltering.
For all of us.
It was so
But obviously
unfathomably hot.
we're not used to that kind of
We're
thing.
especially not used to it, but it was very, very warm. Yeah. And then we went to Rosemary's, which is
an ice cream parlor.
family-owned ice cream parlor. So we had a sandwich and ice cream, and it was so much food. I couldn't finish mine. I had a butter pecan blondie. Or no, I had a blondie with butter pecan ice cream, and it was so good, but there was so much blondie and so much ice cream. It was a bit too much. Plus having a sandwich as well, which essentially I had a grilled cheese.
Yeah, and I had I had a hot dog, which is really nice. Started getting to mustard more, so I had a hot dog, and then I also had it was English toffee ice cream and something else, really good. But I didn't have too much. And then
Well, it's
we
not
didn't
that
expect...
I chose too much. I just didn't know how big the portions were going to be because America.
Yeah, but I didn't have too much, so I got to finish off Megan's, which was very toasty.
Yeah, I just kept putting more in Mike's bowl.
It was so good. Yeah.
Then after that, we went back to MB2.
We went back to MB2, and then after that we did some... No, we did some
that's
shopping.
When we did the art. Well, we went back to MB2 and we did the arcade stuff.
No, we went to the shops first because the shops were nearby.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're right.
So we went to like a thrift story kind of thing, went to like a comic book store. We got...
it was called like Downtown Comics and Toys or something.
Yeah, we got a couple of Funko Pops, which is fun. Funko.
What did I get? Oh, I got
You got Duke Silver from Parks and Rec, and I got Venom, just classic Venom, because I'm a massive big fan of Venom, which is really nice. And... yeah, that's more or less it, I think. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of keep going in circles.
Then we went back to MB2 and we played arcade games and we did the bumper water carts.
Metal boat things. People who have been following me on Instagram will be able to have seen a lot of that stuff.
Then we went back, we got changed, hung out for a little bit, and then we went out for, is it Vietnamese?
Yes, that was it. I forgot about that completely. Yeah, because we'd never had pho.
We went out for pho.
Which is PHO, I think.
Is it PHO? Oh, I thought it was PHU.
I think for PHO. I've heard of pho before.
Okay, well, we went to this Vietnamese place. It's very similar to ramen.
Yeah, well, you had rice noodles, whereas I had very similar
noodles.
to ramen. Yeah, which is very similar to ramen.
I'm just saying that the dish in itself is very similar to ramen.
Yeah, the kind of noodle soupy kind of thing.
It was yummy.
If any UK listeners have been to Wagamama's, Wagamama's uses a lot of Asian fusion, but this was purely Vietnamese. Really tasty food, and they took us there. And it's just really nice feeling like we were part of the family and really being involved, them really wanting to show us these things.
Yeah, and then after that, what was really cool is we went to the Mexican supermarket.
Yeah.
Because they wanted, Alyse was getting stuff anyway, so we went to the Mexican supermarket and we had a look around, and it was just really cool being able to see, obviously, in England, we've got, Polish supermarkets and Asian supermarkets where you can get, the typical foods from those places, especially in Southampton. But, I've never been to, a full-blown Mexican supermarket. So that was really, really cool seeing all of the different types of foods that they have. And they had, particular, fruits that you can't really get otherwise. They had, just dragon fruit and jackfruit, easily accessible and easily
viable. And lots of chilies and things like that.
Lots of different chilies. There was, a whole, slab. Anyone that's watched Doctor Who and knows Cassandra, it was, a big slab, Cassandra, of, pork... crackling.
They basically, with pork crackling, which is, fat, pork fat that's heated up loads, which is, if done right, is really, really tasty. It was like someone had got a whole pork skin.
And it was thin as well.
It was it was about almost a meter long. It was about probably 70 centimeters by 30.
And then they had a big, bakery
blanket
section of all the different, Mexican pastries, which was really cool.
And this will come out after we get back, so you can also say the secret
then thing you got. Then the special thing... I mean, Davin and Rachel don't listen.
They do not. They don't listen to podcasts. No. This is going to come out on the main feed.
Oh.
All of these conversations we've been having.
Okay, well, if Davin and
patrons
Rachel
get them first, but I'm going to put Motel
on. So my brother and sister-in-law at their wedding had Cafe Patron, which has since been discontinued.
Patron is a type of tequila, a high-end
Patron
tequila.
is a tequila. Cafe Patron is like a coffee tequila mix, and it is outstanding. It was delicious. The only time that I've ever had it was at my brother's wedding, and it was discontinued, so it doesn't exist in the UK anymore. And then as we're checking out, with Alyse buying all of the stuff that she needs to get, I looking up at this massive cabinet of all of these different drinks, and I see Patron, and I was like, oh, look, it's Patron.
Oh, there's Patron, there's Honey Patron.
And then I look to the left, and there's a Cafe Patron, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, and it was $30.
It's $35. At the moment in the UK, if you want to try and buy Cafe Patron, you have to buy it on Facebook Marketplace because it doesn't exist. And the people are selling 35 centilitre bottles for £100 because it's discontinued. Mm-hmm. When I bought my brother the last bottle in Sainsbury's, it was, I think, £20 for 35 centilitres.
So we got double.
So, that's what, $25 for 35 centilitres. So I'm buying 3 times the amount for basically the same price, which is just insanity. So it was $35, obviously plus tax. So it was still less than $40 for the bottle.
Yeah, Americans, the way you guys do tax in supermarkets is so stupid.
Oh, yeah.
To clarify also, guys, we're currently in Orlando, in our hotel. I'm laying on the bed. So if you hear,
me moving, it's because I'm trying to get comfy.
That's why.
And also, if I sound sleepy, it's because because I am.
And
And also I'm laying on a bed.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really excited by that because we're going to give that to Davin and Rachel as like a thank you for coming to the wedding and stuff. But I'm really excited for them to see that they've got Cafe Patron because yeah, it was discontinued in the UK.
when you gave them...
And then it was brought back and only brought back to the US from what I can tell online. And it was only like last year.
Yeah, and also when you gave them the bottle you found in Sainsbury's, they were super excited about that.
Yeah, because I waited a couple of months before I gave it to them because I gave it to them for Christmas and they were really, really buzzed. So I'm really excited to give them this bottle.
And then we slept over at Chris Alyse's again, and then that morning on the Wednesday morning we
got
goodbye.
up early and
we got to say hi to their parents' dog.
We saw Chris's parents' dogs, Denny, and then we drove for about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 to Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yes, in Los Angeles, which was one of the most expensive days
of my
life. So it cost us like $250 odd.
It was $288 for us to both go.
So 2 people to get in, which is about £250.
And then on top of that, you also had to pay $35 for parking.
That was general parking. You could also pay even more for premium parking.
I was so angry about.
So it was basically like $300-ish for one day in a theme park. Now, we're glad we did it, don't get us wrong. But we know like Disney's super expensive, but Disney it was $2,000 for a week, or £2,000, which is like $2,400.
Yeah, it was $2,400
I think.
For 1 week for both of us for the accommodation and access to all 4 parks, and that's also access to the water parks, which we're not going to.
Yeah, so £2,000.
That, to be fair, is also Disney World, which is in Florida, and it is a cheaper state than California.
100%, but in Disney it's like
it is extortionate for Universal
Studios. In Disney it's like £280, which is about $320 to $330, I think, per day for us to go to the parks and also stay in a Disney hotel, and we had loads of bonus extras and stuff. For Universal, it opened at 9 and closed at 7, so not even 12 hours, it was literally 10 hours.
We were there from about 10 till 6:30, so we made the most of it.
8.5 hours, and it cost us basically $300, $300, like so $250, $260 odd quid.
It is insanely expensive.
Like way more, and compared to especially the UK, where I've stayed in Alton Towers, I've been to Thorpe Park and things, and Alton Towers and Thorpe Park is about £40 to £60 per person, realistically, to go to the park. And staying in the hotel is like maybe £100 per person.
Yeah, I did really enjoy it, but if I was going to be going back to America, I probably wouldn't go back to Universal Studios.
I may go to
the one in California. I might go to the one in Florida because it's bigger. Not on this trip.
There's like a Shrek ride there. There's an extra Harry Potter ride. There's a few other things.
There's a whole DreamWorks land.
Yeah, which there is.
I think the thing for us is that
the add-ons.
Well, not necessarily that. I just think it was really random. Like you had Hogsmeade, so you had the Harry Potter area, so you had Hogsmeade and all of that stuff, like, yay, cool. Then you've got, like, Springfield, so you got the Simpsons land, you have the Hollywood, like, the studio tour, then you've got the Minions area,
and then you've got random movies.
Super Mario World.
And then you've got a collection of just random movies, which are like, they're like 4 rides.
But, like, the thing is that in each park, there's, like, or not even each park, in each section of the park, there's like 1 or 2 rides, and then there's a couple of rides dotted here and there. And it just feels really random. Like, I really enjoyed it, but it does feel quite random. Like, I think if we'd gone to the one in Florida, we probably would have been more excited.
But the one in Florida takes 2 days to complete.
So the reason that we chose the California one is because you can do it in a day, which we did. We basically went on every single ride bar like 3.
And from what we've heard from Chris and Alyse, the rides we didn't go on weren't that.
Yeah. So like we missed The Secret Life of Pets,
the Despicable Me ride.
Despicable Me.
We missed Waterworld, but it's apparently really good.
Yeah, well, I said that.
The Transformers ride, which is maybe okay.
There were some really good ones. Like we really enjoyed the Mummy ride, and what was really so first of all, the thing that was really exciting is that one of the main reasons that I wanted to lose weight this year, aside from obviously getting healthy and like the wedding and stuff, but one of the real things that was a big kick up the bum is that someone that I do theatre with said that she couldn't fit on any of the rides at Universal Studios because she went for her honeymoon. And she went to the one in Florida, but she was like, they're not very plus size friendly. And like we did our own research for it and we were like, okay, yeah, shit, that's actually the case. They're not very plus size friendly. So it
Which is weird for America, and especially because Disney is like really plus size friendly, and also Universal's a newer park, so you'd think that given that people are generally getting bigger, like we saw on forums, people were like, oh, I'm like, I do a bit of weightlifting, I'm 6 foot tall guy, I've got broad shoulders, I couldn't fit in certain rides, so things like that, and we were like, oh.
Yeah, so I was a bit nervous because I didn't want to go and then not be able to fit on anything.
And the Harry Potter rides were like the smallest.
In hindsight, like I don't think we'd have enjoyed the day if I couldn't have fit on any of the rides.
I wouldn't have known.
But I managed to fit on every single one of the rides.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that like the work that I've put in this year, and obviously we'll want to carry on when we get back to England, has worked, because like we were on Flight of the Hippogriff, like, which was surprisingly short.
It wasn't the best ride. It wasn't the best. It was
I
okay.
enjoyed it, but it was surprisingly short. And then like I was just crying because I was so happy that I managed to fit on the ride, because it was one of those things that was like in the back of my mind. I didn't want to get too excited in case it didn't happen, but I managed to fit on everything. But what I'm leading in to say is when we went on the mummy ride, what was really good is because they had the tester seats, and I sat on the ride, and like basically she was like, "Ooh, I'm not sure if
it was close."
Fit. It's like,
because that's that's one of the oldest rides there.
Yeah,
it's very small.
She was like, "It's close."
Even I sat on the ride. I was like, "God, even my butt barely fits in this," and I do not have much junk in my trunk.
That's the problem, is that I've got a big ass.
You don't have a very big tummy. It's just you're very big.
It's not my
hips.
stomach so much. It's my ass and my hips that get in the way. Yeah, it's definitely, whatever. But yeah, so I was sat on this thing, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not too sure if you're going to fit." Like, she was like, "It's quite close. You kind of want to see this line, and you can see it, but it's not very clear." So what was quite cool is that she gave us the little fast track pass just for that ride.
Yeah.
Just to be like, "Well, I don't really want you waiting in a queue," because I think it was like 35 minutes.
Yeah, it was nearer the end of the day.
She was like, "I don't want you waiting in the queue for 35 minutes for you to then get to the front and not fit. So
here's a fast track.
Here's a fast track pass, and then
of
if you can't fit, like, no
so you
worries."
just zoom straight to the front.
So we put our stuff in the locker, zoomed straight to the front, and then she was like, "If you sit on row 4 or row 8 and sit on a specific corner seat, then it will be slightly more accessible." So I was like, okay. So I did that, and then it was also like a bit temperamental. Like, the woman who was putting me in the seat was like, "Oh, I'm not 100% sure."
It just about
fit, and I managed to fit on the ride. And I'm so glad, because A, we zoomed to the front, but B, the ride was fucking sick.
It was very much like,
so
if
good.
people have been to Alton Towers or Thorpe Park, where you've got Stealth and Reach of the Queen of Speed, where it starts really quick, like, vroom, and you like,
it was surprising.
zoom off.
It was a really, like, you go forward and you go backwards.
It was like X No Way Out in Thorpe Park.
It was really, a
mixed with
really
Rita.
surprising ride. I wasn't anticipating it, and
Really
it was so
fun.
much fun.
It was like a proper roller coaster, because a lot of these theme parks we go to, like, there's a few roller coasters, but a lot of it is now like an experience. Like the Harry Potter stuff, like the Hippogriff one was a roller coaster, but it was quite slow
Hippogriff
and
one was a
small.
roller coaster, but it was over in seconds.
Yeah, but the Forbidden, the new Harry Potter one, where it's like the floating chair thing.
It's where you're on like the broomstick.
Where it's you're sat on like a I don't know what it's called, but it's like benches. I think it's the Forbidden Forest or something. But it's basically you fly all around Hogwarts, and you get like, I don't want to spoil it for people, but there's like Dementors, and there's really cool things, animatronics, there's like 3D stuff. But that was like a real great experience. It wasn't like a thrill ride. There were things that were thrilling, but it wasn't like an overt thrill ride. It was an experience. And like the Simpsons ride, that was fun, but it's not a roller coaster. It's like quite there's a lot of like VR stuff.
It is a lot of VR. It's called Forbidden Journey.
There you go, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. That was really fun.
So that one was really good, but I will say, if you're someone that struggles with motion sickness, I would 100% recommend you take motion sickness tablets, like I did.
Yeah.
So I actually misread the packaging for our motion sickness tablets, and I only took one. You're actually supposed to take 2, and then after the fact, you then take one every however many hours.
Yeah, because we struggled on Star Tours and went to Disney Paris.
One because I know that on VR stuff, it does make me feel really sick. And so because I misread the instructions, I only took one tablet. It did help, but I still felt quite queasy after the fact. And I felt like there were bits where I had to shut my eyes. On that, and also on the Simpsons ride, I had to shut my eyes because I thought I was going to chuck.
The Simpsons ride was worse, because the Simpsons ride was pure. It just lifts up, and then it's purely a big old screen taking your whole vision.
I found the Simpsons ride less worse.
Less bad. It's hard. I felt less bad in the Simpsons ride, but I think it's because the travel sickness habits kind of kicked in a bit more. But
yeah, I'm not very I'm hoping that the concept of theme parks is going to continue with actual roller coasters, and it's not just going to transition into VR experiences, because if it does transition into VR, that's the end of theme parks for me.
Yeah,
I can't.
Star
Tours, it makes me feel so ill.
Star Tours at Paris made us both feel so ill, and I never feel ill on those kind of things.
I felt ill on that ride, and that was also after me taking motion sickness tablets. We have different ones this time, so
stronger
hopefully
ones.
they're a bit stronger.
Yeah, so we'll see when we go to Disney tomorrow and onwards. But so we went on the Harry Potter stuff. That was great. Really super happy. We were both on like cloud nine about Megan's weight loss stuff, and then she fit on the rides.
And I bought a little mandrake to celebrate.
Yeah, which is really cool. And the Hogsmeade is fun, but the problem is because we've done the Warner Brothers studio tour, Megan's done it several times in the UK, a lot of the stuff that isn't the 2 rides is in the Warner Brothers Studio Tour. And in my opinion, it's a bit better because the Warner Brothers Studio Tour, a lot of it is the actual sets, not a replica.
The other thing that's a little bit frustrating, and this isn't just about Hogsmeade, this is about Universal in general, is that you have to pay to get extra stuff. So, like...
Wands, isn't it?
Like, so you can buy wands, but you can buy ones specifically that, like, react to certain things within Hogsmeade. So, like, you can do Revelio and it will show something, or you can say a spell.
Like in the shop window.
In the shop windows, and it will do random stuff. But you can only do that if you have purchased this specific wand, which kind of fucks me off because Universal Studios is expensive.
Yeah.
And then, like, linking in with that, at the
Mario, Super
Nintendo Land, you can buy these special bracelets that
which are $43
each, and that's for the cheapest one.
I looked into it; they're all the same price.
Oh, right. Okay.
The gold one was like a special anniversary edition.
Oh, right. I see. But they're $43 each, and then that, like, gives you access to do, like, mini games
within
the world.
And then
if you do the mini games, you can then go on to this extra ride, but you can't access the extra ride unless you've done the mini games, and you can't do the mini games unless you buy the bracelet. And it irritates me that you have to purchase extra stuff in order to be able to experience the full park, especially considering how expensive it already is.
100%.
And on top of that, you're also having to pay $35 for parking.
And a day at the theme park's
why
expensive anyway.
That irritates me more than anything.
You got so angry because I'm normally, when it comes to driving,
I just think it's extortionate. I think it is massively extortionate for $35 worth of parking. Like, the tickets are expensive anyway. Like, even if you made everyone pay $10, which even then I would think is ridiculous, but even if you made everyone pay $10 for general parking, you are still making an absolute fucking fortune on parking.
Yeah.
And it just irritates me that you have to spend that amount, and you have to.
Yeah, you can't get out of it.
Like,
35 is the minimum, then there's like 50 for premium,
there's
and then
one
there's
of
$70, which is like
$70,
front
and
door
it's just
parking.
because you're right next to the entrance, which is just fucking ludicrous.
Especially because it doesn't even take that long to walk to the entrance.
It's just insanity. Are you, like, in this logic, like, if you're someone that has a disabled parking bay, do you have to pay the $70 to be right at the front?
I don't know.
It honestly, it made me so angry. So I wasn't really a fan of that. I liked the park.
It was good.
The Studio Tours ride was good.
I'd say that the highlights.
And the Jurassic World.
So the highlights really, so there was the Mummy, which is a proper roller coaster. That was a highlight. The Simpsons ride was fun, but that's because we like the Simpsons, and me in the queue, you got to watch Simpson episodes, which is really good, and clips and stuff, which is funny. The Simpsons ride's all right. I had fun, but I wouldn't do it again. The Mummy ride, proper roller coaster. The Harry Potter stuff is really good, especially because Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey is like, it's like new Harry Potter. It's not new, but it's almost like set between movies, kind of. I don't want to spoil it, but it feels like you're getting more Harry Potter content.
I think for us in general, that, like, for me anyway, Harry Potter is like a big thing.
The way I like Star Wars, you like Harry Potter.
But also on top of that,
the weight loss. Because we went straight to Hogsmeade.
Like, I was so happy that I managed to fit on the rides.
Real results.
Like, so, I was ecstatic, and I'm talking about it now, and I'm getting teary because it was so good.
Yeah, it was great. And then so the Mummy was a great highlight because that was a surprise, and we fit on the ride, etc. The Harry Potter stuff was good fun, but the Jurassic World ride is
so good.
Phenomenal because it's a water ride.
Ages. Though.
Yeah, we're in the queue for an hour.
I say ages. I think because
in the UK,
where we've gone, like, off season to these theme parks, like Disney World is meant to be slightly, like, less busy as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not the hype, because all the kids in America, for the most part, have gone back to school. It actually wasn't that busy. So Jurassic World was the longest queue that we were in.
No, the Mario one was. Well, the Mario... throughout the day... but throughout the day, the Mario ride was like 90 minutes, 2 hours. At one point, it was like 3 hours.
So throughout the day, the Mario ride was the longest wait time.
Which we'll get to.
When we actually got down to it, we were in the queue for just over an hour for Jurassic World, and we were in the queue for 50 minutes for Bowser's Fury, or whatever it's fucking called.
And in the UK, the thing is that there are queues. There are queues and things, but in the UK, I refuse to wait in a queue for more than an hour for almost any ride. Like when you're in the ride, like there's the odd ride which is like a big ride. Like, I don't mind waiting over an hour for one ride a day, maybe. But in the UK, generally speaking, you're expected to wait half an hour to 45 minutes on a longish queue. An hour's kind of pushing it. I think an hour and a half is the limit, but that's but let me please finish. The thing is that when you go when the schools are there, when the kids are there, it's a nightmare, because I remember I went to Lego.
That's what I was going to say.
I went to Legoland once in the half term when I was 14 or something, and the queues were so bad. We were there for 8 hours. I went on 5 rides, No, it wasn't even that. It's 4 rides.
That's fairly common.
And I despise that. I think it's a waste of fucking money and time. I don't want to stand dead still for hours, but I know in Disney there's like experiences in the queue. I know in other places there's a queue, but I'm just like, no, I'm not going to a theme park, spending 8 hours in there and going on like 4 things.
Anyway, you're talking about a less realistic view of going to a theme park.
I just don't go when the kids are there.
Yeah, but that's a less realistic view of going to a theme park. If you have the luxury of being able to go midweek when the kids are at school, then yeah, you crack on.
Guys, take your kids out of school.
But no, don't do that.
Do it.
Mike, I can tell you for a fucking fact our children are not coming out of school so they can go to a theme park.
No, go that, mate.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Go that, mate.
No, like, I don't think I've ever been to Thorpe Park and queued for less than an hour for rides.
I've never been there and queued for more than an hour.
Yeah, because you don't go...
No, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, okay, but I'm just saying, most people will go at the weekend.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, in the UK, though, the ride, like the queue...
Anyway, I don't really want to get into a debate about Thorpe Park.
No, but in the UK rides, though, in the UK theme parks...
Also, that's a generalisation, because we're comparing it to, like, literally, like... I'm talking about Thorpe Park. I don't know anything else.
I've been to all of them. I've been to Chesington, Thorpe Park, Poltons...
You haven't been to
Alton's.
every single theme park in the UK.
I have been to all of them apart from Drayton Manor.
Okay, so you've been to every single one, have you?
Okay, I'm very experienced in going to theme parks in the UK, and I can tell you in a lot of the queues, there are queue markers, it says wait here for half an hour, wait here for an hour, etc. The queue lines in America are way bigger, just because there's more people, etc.
Yeah, but also I'm just thinking about comparing it to Disneyland Paris.
But yeah, so the queues, from when I just don't want to wait in really, really, really long queues. I know that can be naive to some people, and I get that, but I just hate it. I especially because also UK queues for like Thorpe Park and Towers, they're way more boring. I remember Stealth, there is literally nothing around for
That's a lot
Stealth.
of theme parks, though.
Yeah, but in Disney...
Like at Disneyland Paris, that's most of the rides as well.
Yeah, whereas I've heard that in the American ones, and I felt it to a degree in Universal, there's a lot more to look at. There's screens playing stuff to do with the ride.
I think it's unrealistic for people to go to a theme park and not expect there to be queues of over an hour. Like, because even when we've gone to Disneyland Paris, there have been queues for over an hour.
Yeah, but obviously a lot...
And we went during half term, so...
Yeah, but when we went to Disney Paris, we did look at the app and we were like, okay, this ride has got a queue of 40 minutes. Let's go there for now. And then you play the game.
But that's what people do at Thorpe Park.
No, I get that. I know. I'm just, but when I've been there, the queues for Thorpe Park, during the queues, I mean, I understand.
To be fair, I've gone there during, like, a day. I've gone there on school trips and I've managed to get all of the big ones done.
Yeah, it depends, but I think the queuing system in the UK they're just not as big. The queue lines are just not as huge as they are in America. And like for example, with Super Nintendo Land, one of the queues being 3 hours. I'm like, if you are willing to wait 3 hours for one ride, in my opinion, that is genuine insanity.
And also, I will say, it's not worth 3 hours.
Absolutely, no, that was the biggest.
I enjoyed the ride, but it was not worth 3 hours.
So the Jurassic World ride, we had really great fun. We waited in the queue for a while, but it's a water ride.
When we got into the queue, it said that we were only meant to be there. So the queue said that we would be there for 30 minutes.
But then
we ended up being there for about an hour, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because the ride actually was it was worth the wait.
100%.
It was fucking hot and the queue was boring, but it was worth the wait.
It gets boring when the videos playing start to loop.
Yeah,
and
but
then
the videos themselves are pretty boring anyway.
True. But it's a water ride.
Then there was 2 kids that tried to cut in front of us, and I was like, no.
You got them.
I was like, absolutely not. Like, I turned around, and then suddenly 2 children were in front of us, and I was like...
And we've been in the queue for like 45 minutes
At this point, we were close to the front, so I think, 55 minutes we've been in the queue.
And we're like, you're new.
And like, the woman in front of us, who was originally in front of us, looked at me and was like, shrugged and was like, I don't know where they came from. And she, like, told me that they'd, like, come under the barrier. And I was like...
Teacher mode, actually.
Yeah, basically. I was like, there's a queue. I was like, we've been waiting for quite a while.
And they just stared at you.
And they just stared at me and I was like, so you need to go.
Yeah.
I was like, we've been in this queue for nearly an hour. You have just joined the queue. You need to go. I was like, there's a queue. You need to go to the back of it. And then they just looked at me like, what? And I was like, you need to get out of the queue. Mm-hmm. And then they went, and I was just like, I'm sorry, but I'm not having 2 fucking children like... It fucks me off, like...
Oh, yeah. Especially British queue culture.
Nah.
We do not accept... And
also, the people in front of us were Italian. And Italians don't know how to queue. So the fact that... And I'm allowed to say that because I'm Italian. And also British. But the woman who told us that they came from underneath the thingy, she was Italian. And I was like, if this Italian lady is telling me that these kids are like... I was just like, no, absolutely not. I was like, get to the fucking back of the queue. They ended up going into the single rider.
Yeah, and they got on fairly
And I was like,
quickly.
well, then just go in the single rider. Why
exactly.
are you cutting in front of the queue? Go to the back. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's just such a dick move. It's entitled. But the Jurassic World ride's amazing. We won't spoil it, but it's a water ride, so you get a bit wet. But it's like you go through Jurassic Park, you see animatronic things. It's really, really fun, and we liked it so much that after we did it, we did a couple of other things. And we went back,
We went back and we did single rider.
So we got on it in like 10 minutes. So Jurassic World, top tier. Mummy ride, top tier. The Simpson ride and other ones were pretty good fun. But the studio tour was
really
absolutely
cool.
fantastic. And Chris and Alyse gave us a really good hint, which we're going to share with you now. So in Simpson Land, which is right near the entrance to the studio tour, or the lower lot, which is how you get to the studio tour and stuff.
That's the upper lot.
The upper lot, and it connects right to the studio tour, is the Simpsons place. You can buy like Simpsons food, and you can go to Lard Lad Donuts, and you can buy an absolutely gigantic donut.
It is the biggest donut that I've ever seen in
I think
my
it's
life.
like 30 or 40 centimetres by 30 or 40 centimetres. The box is huge.
It's bigger than a personal pizza at Domino's.
Yeah, it's huge. And we got a maple bacon one, which is really nice. And what Chris and Lee said is that get some food, get some lunch. They often get the donuts.
Get some snacks.
And then go on the studio tour, because the studio tour is about an hour long, and you're allowed to eat on there and drink and stuff. And you're sat on these nice little like tram car things in the shade while you go round the studio lot. So it's a really good way to eat your lunch without like losing time, while also on a ride, and it's not going to make you feel sick. And also those donuts were amazing.
It was really yummy.
One between us. So go on the studio tour
And also,
ride.
considering how large it was only like $10, which
is
is
really
actually like
cheap.
reasonably
I
priced.
thought it would have been like $20 for the size.
Considering that you buy a donut at like a normal theme park and you're looking at spending like £3.
Oh, I mean, that's being optimistic. But it's even like
It was massive.
But even the hot dog that we got, the hot dog, which was nice, which was quite small, that was like $13.
Yeah.
So it's the cheapest thing there, but
It is reasonably
great value.
Like reasonably priced. That's the only thing that's reasonably priced.
Yeah, the studio tour.
Because the merchandise in Hogsmeade was actually reasonably priced, and then you look at the merchandise in other areas, and it was extortionate.
Yeah.
If you go to the Super Nintendo world, and the merchandise
God.
there in the shops was really fucking
the
expensive.
Mario merch was ridiculous.
Yeah,
We didn't get any of
whereas
it.
like my little cuddly toy Mandrake that I bought was priced as $20, and actually it was $5 cheaper because they'd reduced the price, and then plus tax, which is just fucking dumb. But it was $15 plus tax.
Yeah, and so the Harry Potter merch isn't too bad. But so we did the studio tour. We won't spoil it. There's some surprises in there. You know, it's kind of a ride, but it's also a genuine tour. Our tour guide was quite fun. You go around certain places. There's certain points where you can go past places where they're filming real shows.
There's also bits where you put on 3D glasses.
Yeah, so it is like an interactive thing. We won't spoil it. But we actually went through the set of The Good Place, which is my favourite TV show of all time, which is really, really cool. Or you go for a set that parts have been used for The Good Place, and go past the town square, which is in Back to the Future. So that's really cool. So the studio tour is a must. I think the studio tour and the Jurassic World rides are absolute must-sees. So then we move on to the final part of our trip at Universal, Super Nintendo Land. Now, Megan's already said about the bracelet-y things. Now, Super Nintendo Land aesthetically looks phenomenal.
It's really cool. It does look like
amazing.
you've just walked into the video game.
Which is amazing, and it looks really cool. It's quite small for what it is. And there's another thing, like as Megan said, like all the lands you go into, you go, oh, this is a really cool land, but it's actually like a corner, and each land only really has one ride. So you're like... Whereas I know compared to Disney, I know Disney's like the Goliath for parks, but Disney, you go into like Frontierland, and there's each land basically has one or two big rides, then a couple of smaller rides, as well as merch and stuff. In Universal, every area basically had one ride, apart from the in-betweeny area, which had Jurassic World, Mummy, Transformers, and something else. So the Super Nintendo Land, so it looked really cool. Again, it's a bit of a downer because we kept going and interacting with stuff, and it was making the dun noises, which means you can't do anything.
Yeah, so we would punch the boxes
question mark boxes.
You'd get the gold coins.
Yeah.
And we were seeing other people doing it, and it was going ba-ding, ba-ding, like it does in the game. And then when we did it, it was like ba-dum, and it was like grumpy.
Because
because we didn't have the special fucking wristbands.
And when you have the special wristbands, you collect coins and keys and all other stuff. You do these mini games, obviously we couldn't do because we didn't have them. But also when you do these things, you get to unlock like outfits for your Miis on the Super America A and Super Smash Bros, which is cool, but it doesn't really say it anywhere.
No.
I had to look things up. So we did the Mario Kart Bowser's Revenge thing, and I was really excited for it because I love Mario Kart and I'm pretty damn good at it. So I was thinking, oh, I'll go Mario Kart, play against loads of people, I'll kick their ass. Which I think I probably would have given them so many.
You did
children.
win in our kart.
Yeah.
You beat me by 3 points.
But the problem is the Mario Kart ride can't decide what it wants to be. And in my opinion, it's actually quite crap. To be completely blunt, the technology and idea behind it sounds cool, but it just doesn't work properly.
I don't think it's crap. I enjoyed it. I think it's good. I just think it could be better than what it is.
It feels like 2 or 3 rides smushed together, and it doesn't really work in any, because you're in a Mario Kart car, but there's 4 of you in the car, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and you've got a steering wheel. You put on this helmet thing and these like glasses for augmented reality. So when you look in certain places, you can see like holograms of stuff, which is cool. But the thing is that...
And then you have to get them with your shells.
Yeah, so basically, as the car goes round on the track, you have to turn the steering wheel the same way as an arrow pops up on your screen. And if everyone in the car does it, you all get some coins. And then also you get shells. And when you click the buttons on the steering wheel, you fire a shell wherever it is you're looking. And you're meant to be looking, and you can see in the hologram, augmented reality, goggle things, you can see Bowser and his minions, or like turtles that you get in
there's like
Mario Kart
Koopa
8.
Troopers and Goombas and Ghosts.
But there's also the playable characters in Mario Kart 8. So like Wendy and Ludwig and all the like Bowser Jr. and all those kind of people. And so the thing is, you're on Mario's team and you're meant to be beating Bowser. And so what you do is you throw these turtle shells at Bowser's minions, and you try and beat them in the race. Now the problem is that unlike the Disney like Buzz Lightyear rides, where it's just a rail shooter,
this is the thing,
which it should have been.
Yeah, it feels like it should just be a pew-pew game.
Which would be good. If it was just a pew-pew game, that would be cool. Or if it was like an actual Mario Kart racing game, that would be cool. Or if it was actually a roller coaster, that would be cool. But it's not a roller coaster.
I said that it could be, if they did a roller coaster where you go into the different worlds, and you've got the normal like world, then you go into the water world, and the desert world, and the ice world, and you go into like the underground where it goes
warp pipes. That would have been cool. I would have loved that. Even if it was like a ride like It's a Small World. If it was kind of like that, but actually a little bit faster, but going through Mario stuff with all the animatronics, I would have loved that.
Yeah.
If it was a roller coaster like the Mummy ride, where like when it goes really fast, you go for like a warp pipe and you go through that would have been really cool.
Or if it is just a pew-pew game, because the Buzz Lightyear game at Disneyland Paris is really, really fun.
I love that game.
And or the Web Slinger one at Disneyland Paris, which is the Spider-Man one. That's also really fun.
And you go through different bits.
It's a simple concept because you're just trying to get shit. You're just trying to shoot it.
And the queue for the Mario ride was so cool. Like all of it was like all this real life Mario stuff.
Aesthetically, it was really, really cool.
Which was amazing. But instead, it was just kind of like...
I enjoyed it. I just don't think it was worth the hype. Well, I'm glad that the queue time, because when we got into the queue, I think it said 85 minutes. By the time we got onto the ride, I think it was about 55. So I'm glad that it was shorter.
And it is a longer ride. Like the ride, it takes like 2 or 3 minutes, which is good. But I just feel like it should be just a normal rail shooter, and then what they should really do is the Mummy ride, as fun as it is, what they need to do is just make Super Nintendo Land a bit bigger, because the Mummy ride's right near it, make it a bit bigger, connect the Mummy ride, and literally just change all of the theme of the Mummy ride to Mario stuff.
Yeah.
Problem solved. But make those seats bigger, because those seats are tiny even for me. So that was a disappointment, because I was quite excited about Nintendo Wetland, and actually, because it's basically behind a paywall and the main ride is actually not very good, it was quite disappointing.
And also, I'm glad that we didn't pay for there was a thing that you could pay an extra $20 per person, which would get you into the park an hour earlier than everywhere else, so that you could just go to the Nintendo place.
And hour early only to Nintendo Land.
Only Nintendo Land, and I'm really glad that we didn't pay the extra money for it. A, because we were late anyway, but B,
because nothing to do.
That it wouldn't have been worth it.
Yeah, so if we come back to America, I imagine at some point, we will probably try the Universal in Florida, but Universal was a great day out.
They've also got another ride for Harry Potter. They've got the Gringotts Bank ride, which is meant got a dragon. Amazing. It's meant to be really good.
And then there's the, as you said, DreamWorks Land with like Shrek stuff as well. So, it was good. I'm glad we did it, but it was overpriced, and the Nintendo Land was a disappointment.
It was good, and I enjoyed it, but it was a smidge disappointing.
Yeah, but then again, the Mummy ride, the Jurassic World ride, and the Studio Tour blew our expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
All evened out in a great
especially
way.
The Mummy ride.
Yeah. So that was Universal. Then after Universal, we met up with Melissa of Just the Tip-Sters pod. A lot of people may remember that because one of my most popular episodes, which is when I spoke about grief with Melissa. She unfortunately lost her husband a couple of years ago. I'm not going to delve into all that here, but she was very open and honest and spoke about her grief. So we got to meet up with her. We went to this Italian restaurant which had waitresses and waiters singing, which
Classic
I've never experienced before, but apparently it's quite common in LA. We all three of us unanimously hated it, because why do I want to hear loads of people basically singing karaoke?
Also, my question is, this Italian restaurant, why do you have sombreros up as decoration in an Italian restaurant when that is not Italian?
Yeah, that was pretty bad. And then the food was okay. I mean,
My
Megan's...
pasta was nice. The flavour
so
of my
al
pasta
dente.
was nice, but my pasta was slightly undercooked, and I was really hungry at that point, so I just didn't care about.
And you don't mind al dente pasta?
I don't mind al dente
Me,
pasta,
it was
but
too much.
even for me, it was quite al dente.
I was eating it and I was like, this generally tastes like fucking raw.
I had fettuccine carbonara.
And I had a pizza that was nice.
How I've explained it is that Mike's pizza, like, pizza is hard to be bad. So Mike's pizza was like a pleasant pizza, but it wasn't a good pizza.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was nicer than some of the...
It tasted like a takeaway, like, kebab pizza.
Kind of, but it was closer to Italian than American, which I liked. It was thinner base, but you are right. It was kind of overloaded with cheese. It was so salty as well. It hurt my brain.
It was very salty, but that's because of probably the very, very processed meats that were on top of it.
Yeah, and they overuse salt and everything. But seeing Melissa was lovely. Like, Melissa is absolutely hilarious in real life. She was just absolutely cracking us up.
She was very funny.
Yeah, she's great. So it was really nice to get time to see Melissa, which was fun. And then from there the next morning...
And also I appreciated her because she could see that I was getting tired and then basically was like, right, let's wrap it up. Megan's sleepy. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, Melissa is one of those people that she cuts through anything in the best of ways where there's no bullshit with her. She just says it as it is in a great way.
Yeah,
so,
then we drove from there and we checked into our hotel.
Which was a motel.
Which was... It's not a problem that it was a motel. But the issue that I had with it is that on Booking.com, it was specified as like a country inn.
Yeah, it was called the Budget Inn, isn't it?
It was called a budget inn, which is fine. Like, I don't care about staying somewhere cheap.
No.
Like, I don't give a shit about that.
Hostels, we both stayed in hostels
However, what I do care about is feeling unsafe and false advertising. So, like, it wasn't advertised as a motel. Like, it had good ratings on Booking.com, which is fine. And for what we needed it to be, it was absolutely fine.
Location was great.
The location, because it was right next to the airport.
The room was fine.
The room itself was fine. There was just, like, things about it that were quite sketchy.
Sketchy
and like
neighbour.
the location was really sketchy, and like the receptionist was kind of sketchy. Like,
and also we're driving a brand new 2024 Ford Edge, and we've got like several suitcases. We're clearly tourists, and so having
and also
a brand
we turned up at like 10 p.m. at night, and like it was just late.
We felt like there was a target on us because we were thinking if anyone's going to try and go after us, the door is quite thin.
And we were on the ground floor.
Floor, motel. I mean, if anyone listening, a difference in a motel and a hotel is a motel, you open your door to your room and it opens to the outside world. A hotel has hallways and lobbies and things. So on the ground floor, the neighbour was dodgy, other people around us were dodgy. We felt like we were a target because we were tourists and bringing loads of suitcases in, and we had a brand new car.
It did feel very much like a for the room by the hour kind of vibe, which is fine.
Yeah, no judgment here.
But yeah,
and one of the other people checking in, we were like, he looks like he's with a prostitute, which is fine. Whatever, people do what they don't do. But
I personally didn't feel like I'm happy that I was with Mike, because I would not have felt safe being there by myself.
Even I was like checking out the peephole before I would open the door, and then when I opened the door, I looked around to make sure there was no one sketchy around.
Yeah, like when we checked in, the guy didn't even check that I had a booking. He was just like, "Here's your stuff. Here's the card. Here's the room." And I was like, "You haven't even checked anything."
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yes, that was a bit odd. Then we got on the plane, flew to Florida, which is fine. The person who sat next to me was a knob.
He was a dickhead,
but whatever. And then we had a bit of time as a breather on that day. Went to sleep in the room we're in now.
We checked into this room,
Destiny
which
Palms.
is really nice.
Destiny Palms or Destiny Springs or something.
It's Destiny Palms.
Destiny Palms in Orlando. Really good value for money. Guy at the front desk is really friendly.
Kissimmee.
Yeah, Kissimmee. And then the day after, so we stayed here.
We checked in on the Thursday.
Woke up on the morning. And we got to spend the day with Tony Farina, published author, A.R. Farina, author of the Austin Chronicles. And he's Indie Comic Spotlight is the podcast he does on Comics in Motion. And I've known Tony, Chris and Dave, and I think Frank Burton, I think are my first four podcasting friends. I've met Frank Burton in real life. I should be meeting Dave this year, and I'm sure we'll meet Chris at some point. But they're all UK based. Tony is an absolute gem of a human being. People know I love Tony to pieces. He's just a legend. I love him. And we got to meet him and spend like 6 or so hours with him.
He drove up
for 2 and a bit hours to see us, which was lovely. It was a shame because he has work stuff and other life stuff going on, and obviously we only have a finite amount of time, so we couldn't spend like a couple of days with him like we would have obviously liked to. But the fact that we got to see him for a whole day was amazing. We got to meet him. We went for like a buffet brunch, and we wanted to go for a buffet.
Golden Corral, I think it was.
We didn't get to go to a buffet in Vegas. It was really nice.
Yeah, we ran out of time. I
I
didn't even get to use any of my loyalty points.
but we got to go to we didn't get to go to a buffet in Vegas, but we got to go to a buffet here. It was really nice.
It was good.
And obviously chatting with Tony, it flew by, but we had great fun. Went to an aquarium aquarium, which is
went
really
to
good.
Sea Life.
Sea Life Aquarium. We have lots of Sea Life aquariums in the UK.
The Ion Park, I think it was called.
And the good thing is with Sea Life, not SeaWorld, SeaWorld are evil. Sea Life
boo.
are all about Sea Life are all about conservation, and we've loads of them in the UK. They're really good for the fish. They do a lot of work to try and make people aware of all the bad stuff.
A turtle there called Monty, who was cute. He was all snoozy.
We saw a couple of bonnethead sharks. We saw seahorses, which I love seeing. We got to touch some starfish. Got to talk to some people who taught us stuff. It was a really nice hour or so day. We just had a great time with Tony, had a coffee, and then went out for pizza.
We went to a place called Giordano's,
So it's
world famous deep dish.
Classic America calling everything world famous when it's not. The amount of things that America... I just want to say, America, sort out, okay? Just because you think it's world famous, it doesn't make it world famous, okay? People, especially in Vegas, people outside of America haven't heard of any of these things. You're not world famous. You're just nationwide
Giordano's
famous.
maybe. You don't... Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's
Giordano's, I think, actually is quite a famous pizza chain, I will say.
It's a Chicago-based pizza.
And it was, I really, really rated it. I think it's the best deep dish pizza I've ever had.
It's the best deep dish pizza I've ever had, but it's not the best pizza.
No, the best pizza you have is...
Best pizza is Italian pizza,
Yeah.
100%. Skinny pizzas.
So in southern Italy...
It was thick.
It was very thick. I mean, it was one pizza is meant to serve 4 people. And me, Tony, and Megan ate a decent chunk of it. And then me and Megan then had it for breakfast the following day and were full up for like several hours after having one slice. It's very salty. We did have spinach, olives, and mushrooms, which was really nice.
It's because Chicago pizzas, all of the... so it's like a pizza crust. So the actual, crust is more like a pie.
Yeah.
And then it's a pizza pie. And then you've got all of the fillings, all of the cheese and the fillings are inside, and then you've got the tomato sauce on top.
Yeah, it's like 2 layers, isn't it? It's like the bottom layer of crust.
It's like a
then,
pie.
as you say, the cheese and the thing, and then another layer, and then, it's interesting. It was different. It was amazing, though. I loved it.
It was really good.
We had some good bruschetta. We had a couple of cocktails. Well, we did. Tony had one because he was driving.
What did I? I had sangria.
He had sangria. I had an old-fashioned, and then I had this lemonade cocktail. But that was really, really nice.
Really good.
Really good fun, because also what's funny is Megan's brother, he tried to go to Giordano's in Vegas, but the wait time is 45 minutes because they cook fresh.
Because it's so deep, and it takes time to cook it.
Yeah, but we got to do that, which is really cool. Then I said goodbye to Tony. I could have spent days with Tony. And then we had today and yesterday were just chilled out days. Yeah,
so yesterday I found a place called Old Town where we got the bus to.
In Orlando.
And it's technically it's in Kissimmee still.
Kissimmee, yeah.
Or however you pronounce the place that we're in.
I think it's connected to Orlando. It's either close to or part of.
But
I don't get counties and provinces and everything in America.
I think it's within Orlando, but I think Orlando is massive. But if you're actually going to go to the city, Orlando city centre, you have to kind of go out of the way.
Yeah.
We went to a place called Old Town, which was kind of like a strip of shops.
Felt like the 1950s. It felt like the 1950s.
Yeah, it felt like old timey America. They had a gold panning area. They had some old timey shops. You had some foodie places. You had some fairground ride type.
And the
things.
aesthetic was all quite.
The aesthetic was all kind of old timey, but it was a nice little find, and we just had a little wander around.
Went to the arcade. That was good fun.
We went to an arcade where we paid $20, and then you got credits on a card, and then you just tapped the machines that you wanted to go on, which is quite a nice system. Which was across the road, and there was a flea market there that we went through.
We had a bit of we had some drinks and stuff, as in soft drinks. We were really thirsty. It was just a really nice, fun.
It was just an interesting, chill thing to do.
Yeah, it was a good time killer without any real pressure or anything like that.
Yeah, and then we ended up at Denny's.
We love Denny's.
I do love Denny's, but it was also just location and convenience that it was there.
Yeah.
So we got the Denny's, which was yum, and then we got the bus back home.
Yeah, we used the bus as well because it's only $2 each way, which is really cheap, a lot cheaper than Uber.
Except you have to pay by cash, which is just ridiculous.
Insane.
Now.
You can't pay by card at all.
Fortunately, we had change.
Yeah, we had to get change as well because it was you can't pay by card on a bus, and we're in the UK, it's literally a contactless card is standard. Some places won't even take cash, but weirdness. And then today we had a proper lay-in.
I slept until nearly 11 o'clock, which is
never happens.
is genuinely unheard of for me.
Unless you go to Pop World till 3 a.m.
Even then I don't sleep until 11.
Because when we drink alcohol, we never stay in properly.
I can't believe that I slept until about 11 o'clock, which it is genuinely insanity to me. I'm normally a wake up at 7 kind of girl.
Yeah, and I'm normally a wake up at 8 or 9 kind of guy. But I know we would go to bed later because I read. But today...
Yeah, we chilled. We just chilled. And then I went to 7-Eleven and bought us some stuff for breakfast. And then we just relaxed.
So today we had a bit of a relaxing day, and Megan has planned the vast majority of this trip down to the T. I've been a bit of an advisor. There's certain things I've helped with. It hasn't been 100% Megan, but she has done a huge amount of it. I've helped with bits and pieces here and there, or made decisions when she's kind of gone, here's 3 things, choose between them. But this evening's entertainment, I specifically chose, because when we got into this hotel, I went to the area where there's all the leaflets and stuff, and we looked at some of the things to do. There's a dino world, but we didn't necessarily want to do that. I did want to shoot some machine guns and things, but it was unfathomably expensive.
On the leaflet, it said from $29, but then when
$25 it says.
Okay, but when you go onto the website, there's no evidence of anything to do with shooting a gun that is only $25. I think it's only when you turn up to the store that you can have that option, which I kind of don't like and find sketchy.
Yeah, agreed. And I wanted to shoot machine guns because you don't get guns in the same way in the UK. You can get guns in the UK, but it's normally just like, hunting rifles, because who the hell needs an assault rifle? But I wanted to just do it, but I wasn't my heart wasn't set on it, but there's something else we found. But before we did that, we basically woke up late, had a bit of a breather and a chill again because, this whole trip's been quite intense, and we're going to Disney World tomorrow for a week, which is going to be really intense. But we basically caught the bus down to near where the thing we're about to talk about is, and went to Walmart. It sounds weird, but like we've never been to Walmart.
We went to Walmart, and which is the equivalent of Asda in the UK.
And we also, what's fun is Megan was very sneaky.
I was sneaky deaky,
but to be fair, it wasn't intentionally.
But in a morally good way.
So we went in there and we looked at some t-shirts and stuff, because when we went to Target back in Vegas, we got some pretty cool t-shirts and stuff.
Target was in Bakersfield.
Sorry, we went to Target and got some cool t-shirts.
Actually, technically it was in Fresno.
Right. So we got some cool t-shirts at Target, because Megan, when we first were dating, Megan got me a really cool Star Wars t-shirt from Target, and Target does have some cool stuff in it. So we went to Walmart just for a browse, just to see.
And also we were looking for Disney t-shirts to see if there was anything cheaper that we liked before we go to the parks.
Yeah, and we went in there and Megan found a really cool Harry Potter t-shirt.
I didn't realise it was Harry Potter to begin with. I just saw a plant, and I love plants, so I picked it up and then saw it was a herbology t-shirt. And
so it's got mandrake and
mushroom. It had 7 or 8 different plants from Harry Potter, and it had the names of them and what they look like. And I was like, oh, this is really nice. Then there was
the only one.
It was the only one there, and it was
in your size.
Only one there, and it was in my size, except there wasn't a barcode on it. It didn't have a label.
It had a label.
It had a label that had a number, like a code for the product, but it didn't have a barcode. And I was like, okay, well, it's a sign.
And we tried looking for
we
t-shirt.
tried trying to find the t-shirt, but we couldn't find it anywhere. But the rack that it was on, all of the t-shirts were around $10-11. So I was like, okay, well, it must be around $10-11. No worries. So then, because it didn't have a barcode, I wanted to go to a person.
So we went to the self-service checkout.
We went into the queue that took you to the people, but because the self-service checkout was faster, the attendant sent me over to the self-service checkout. I then saw that it had a code, so I just entered the code myself, and then on the machine it came up as $1.
Yeah, it said men's small $1.
It said men's SST $1, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, what do I do? And I was like, Mike was like, well...
Megan was unsure, and I pushed her. I was like, to be honest with you, there's no barcode on there.
I was like, I've put all of the information
We genuinely walked around the t-shirt area for 5-10 minutes trying to find this other t-shirt. And I said, I said to Megan, what I think has happened is that probably that t-shirt is the last of its batch, and that you will not find it in this area because it's just the last. And you know what stores do, once they're finished with a certain batch, they'll just not replace it necessarily.
Yeah, the other thing is that because the t-shirt is done, they've put that code onto a different product, which then costs $1. I don't know.
But we typed in the code. I typed
in the code that was on the t-shirt. It said it was $1. It said it was a t-shirt.
You put it on the weight bit and it said fine.
Whatever. So I paid $1.08 because, again, the fucking tax is not included in the price, which is really irritating.
We left there, went to Dunkin' Donuts, and we'll come back to the t-shirt in a sec. Went there to Dunkin' Donuts, had a nice coffee, had a blueberry muffin donut thing, which was amazing. And then Megan went online and went, I wonder how much these t-shirts are worth.
Yeah, I went onto the Walmart website, and originally, so it's currently on the Walmart website, is reduced to $15 from $20. So this t-shirt that I bought for $1.08 was actually meant to be $15 plus tax.
Yeah. So sorry Walmart, but we think you can probably afford it. But to be fair, we did what you'd normally do in a scan place. You go to just self-scan. It's got the code there. If the barcode doesn't scan or you can't find the barcode, you type in the number. It said the thing. And I said to Megan, one of the reasons I said was, the thing is, if what I didn't want her to do is to give the t-shirt to someone, them go off and they couldn't find it, because I've had it before in shops where I've had something where the barcode's not on it. People try and find it. It doesn't come up on the system and they won't let you have it. And I was like, this is in your size. It's really cool. And I was like, this isn't some small independent store where you're, taking money away from like a family. This is Walmart. They're giant. I think they're generally considered kind of evil, and they're a massive. I think the family that own Walmart own like 10% of all wealth in America or something. So I'm like,
I mean, if you don't know those facts, I wouldn't say them.
well, it's something like that. It's genuine. Do you remember I've looked it up before about the family that own more wealth than the majority of people in America? Okay, well, look up Walmart family. They're very rich. But anyway, we did what we could. It came up as $1. In my opinion,
I didn't do anything wrong.
And by the time we found out about the thing, we also had plans, so we couldn't have even gone back, even if we necessarily wanted to. But the last thing we'll say as we wrap up the podcast is we did something called Medieval Times, which I really wanted to do. Meg was unsure, but we had a fantastic time.
It's not that I was unsure, it's just that it was another expense that we hadn't factored in.
We saved money on the t-shirt.
More money. But I'm really glad that we went. It was a lot of fun.
So what it is, it's basically, we see them in American movies all the time, but we do not have them in the UK, even though...
I don't know for sure if we don't have them in the UK.
Well, I was going to say, in the UK... Okay, so what it is, basically, is you sit down for a meal in this fake castle-y thing, and you're in there for a couple of hours. You have a meal while these knights and stuff do, jousting, they do, sword fighting, they do, Renaissance-era stuff.
It was, loosely based on Spain.
Yeah, Spanish history. And you've got a queen who's the host, as well as this steward guy who's the host, and they're talking about the tournament of champions and all these, and each tournament, each night is representing a different area, and where you all sit, you're in these stands in front of this middle arena-y bit, and there's 6 places where you sit, and each place that you sit has got a different knight attached to it. We were black and white.
We were the black and white
knight, and he was a very good looking man. He was gorgeous.
He was a sexy man.
And basically you pay a certain amount of money, you get a meal, you can get some drinks.
So we paid for the upgrade where we got better seating, and we also got a little banner that we could wave, and we got a VIP badge
and a lanyard, and got in there a bit earlier and stuff.
And we got in there earlier and just had better seating. So I'm glad that we did the upgrade. But it's a 4-course meal. So we had tomato soup with garlic bread, and then we had chicken. I say 4-course meal.
It was 3-course
meal.
It was 3-course.
It's 4-course meal because you were supposed to have coffee, but we didn't ever get the coffee, which kind of annoyed me because I actually would have wanted one.
Yeah.
But so the food itself, we had a bisque tomato soup with a garlic bread, which was really good. We then had herby chicken, some corn, and a baked potato, which was really good.
And you eat it with your hands as well.
And so you eat it with your hands like Renaissance. If you want cutlery, you have to specifically ask for it, but otherwise you eat it with your hands. Obviously the soup is done in a bowl that's got a little handle so that you can actually drink it. And then dessert was an eclair, which I wasn't a big fan of, but that's because I don't really like eclairs anyway. I'm not a big fan of choux pastry.
I like mine, but the drinks are really cool. They're quite expensive. You get to keep the...
Oh, so when we got there, we decided to get some cocktails. And as Mike was saying, when you can pay for the novelty glass or cup or whatever, you can choose whatever cup you want.
And the bigger cup you get, the more strong alcohol you get. So the more shots you get.
Mike and I both chose a Stein, but mine's a tankard that's made out of ceramic, whereas Mike got an actual glass Stein.
Which is really cool.
So
Megan
they
loves
were
a Stein.
Somewhat pricey, but realistically for the cup and the drink, it's it's not extortionate. It's on the pricier side, but it's not excessive. But it was fun. And then you keep the glass and then you get reduced refills.
Yeah, which is really good. It's a good idea.
We only had 2 drinks.
Yeah, we don't want to get too middle, but I kept needing to go to the toilet to drink some water. Yeah, they're quite strong. They don't... With the middle ground drinks we had, which was the double strength cocktails, you can get normal, double or triple strength.
Mine was called Maiden's Kiss.
I had 2 different ones. I had... Dragon something and the Executioner. But mine were good. Mine were rum-based.
No, you had the Oracle.
Oh, sorry, the Oracle and Dragon something. Or the Executioner, I can't remember. But mine were good. It was really good fun. But I wanted to see those things for a while because I've never seen jousting. Now, in the UK, I've never seen jousting.
How? We've seen jousting. We saw jousting when we went to the South Downs show.
Oh, that was from a distance and we barely watched that. That wasn't proper...
You and I have seen jousting.
That jousting was not the same. There was no splintering of wood and all that kind of stuff. That jousting was... I barely count that as jousting. And we were standing at the edge of that with Mitchell and Anna for
And Willow.
And Willow. For a couple of minutes, then we walked away. We didn't proper watch it. The thing is that in the UK, you do get a little bit of it, but it's not that common.
I think you get it more at like reenactments at castles and stuff.
But no, normal in America, it's a seemingly fairly common thing to sit down for a meal in this place that's doing like castle stuff. And it was like a proper tournament. It was like you get behind the knight that you're with, they big up the crowd. There's a kind of a story-ish. But the knights have got, it's a bit like wrestling in the sense of there's a storyline and these knights have got feuds and things like that. But you watch the jousting and the jousting pikes proper splinter.
Yeah,
like,
they do.
Really, and they've got like shields and like when they were sword fighting, again, there's videos.
There are a couple of places in the UK that do medieval banquets.
But it's not like every day. You don't like go to one location, which is, medieval times. You can't go to a place, have a meal and go every time. It's like seasonal. And normally I think it's during school holidays and stuff. I think
there's one at Combe Abbey.
Never heard of it.
Neither have I.
So we have them. Oh, there is actually a banquet. Cool, we'll have to try that at some point. So you get them in the UK, but they're actually in real castles and stuff. So I don't know, maybe they're not as common. I don't know many people I know who've been specifically to a banquet and watched the Knights tournament and stuff. But what's really cool is when you're watching them sword fight, again, we know it's fake, again, like wrestling, but when you're watching these people do it, like the feats of strength to do it, and when they're hitting the swords together, they are hitting the swords together so hard, there are like sparks flying off.
It was really, really cool.
Like you can see on my Instagram, I've put a couple of videos up of the jousting.
Apologies, because on one of them I'm like whooping like there's no tomorrow. I was A little bit merry, but because I'd been drinking, and B, I was trying to get into it, and C, our knight was winning.
And
our
was very
knight
sexy.
Bloody won the tournament.
Huzzah, and they change every time.
Huzzah.
So you can go there, because someone next to us said that one of their friends works there, so they get to go there a little bit cheaper than other people. And they say that every time you go there, it's a different
it rotates on who wins, so that's quite nice. But yeah, black and white won this time, and we won the tournament.
Yay! You don't get anything if your team wins, it's just a bit of fun. So I really recommend that. I had a great time. The food was actually really good. The chicken was awesome. The chicken was really good.
Considering that you ate it with your hands, like it literally just came off the bone. It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
and the tomato soup was really good as well.
Really.
Claire blah. But that's because of Claire's arbla.
Yeah, so you get there a bit early. I'd say get there about an hour early, and then and the whole thing's about 2 hours. So really, if you get there an hour early, you get about 3 hours of entertainment with some drinks in this cool place.
We didn't get the coffee that was on our menu.
Yeah, which is a shame, but But medieval times, really surprised how fun that was.
It was really good.
So this was our little in-between wrap-up-y thing about what we've been doing.
Little? That's not a little.
No, we've been recording for over an hour.
Jesus.
But there were points we paused it, so maybe it'll be just under an hour. But really, really good fun. Great seeing Tony, great seeing Melissa, great seeing Chris Alyse, great seeing, friends I've made via the podcast. And I put a post on social media about it, but I just want to say how thankful I am, not only for you listeners, but also for the amount of friends I've made from doing podcasting for 7 years. It's just incredible that I've made connections with so many people that I can call friends who actually take the time to come out, and some of them came to our wedding, some of them we actually get to see and meet their families and stuff. It was just really, really great. And again, some of the people in the UK we should be seeing later on this year, which I'm very excited to see as well. But we're going to go because I think we need to go to sleep soon.
We need to go to sleep because we need to get up early for Disney World tomorrow. It's currently 11:30.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Disney World and we'll do one more afterthoughts, but that will probably be when we are at home, reunited with Willow Billow, because we're both missing her. I'm missing her a lot more than I thought I would. I'm going to hold my hands up and say that.
I'm going to give her so many cuddles.
And she's going to lick your ear hole.
No, she's not going to do it. I'm not going to let her lick my ear hole.
I think when you see her, you'll let her.
I fucking hate it more than anything. I really hate her licking inside of my ear.
It is pretty awful, as much as I love that dog. But friends, thank you so much for listening. Obviously, Patreon supporters, thank you so much. You guys will get this a little bit early. We appreciate you hugely, and we will speak to you next week or next time, however I choose to release these, with our time at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Bye, guys.
Bye.
You have just experienced host, creator, everything elser of Genuine Chit-Chat, and also the host and creator of Star Wars comics and canon, found on the Comics in Motion podcast, Mike Burton.